Hello, everybody, and welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. Today we have Aileen Hill. Aileen works for Walking with the Wounded and is the Strategic Pathways Manager. Would that be right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Would you like to explain a little bit to people who's listening and what Walking with the Wounded do and your job role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was recruited to Walking with the Wounded at the end of last summer, because they were awarded one of the 6 strategic partnerships for a new Armed Forces Covenant fund, which was called Positive Pathways. So with the Positive Pathways, they did a new thing, which they got larger organisations to help the smaller veterans charities develop plans for future projects for veterans. So Walking with the Wounded were awarded a certain amount of money, and they've recruited myself and my colleague Gemma. And we have been a team working together to promote the Positive Pathways projects, to help people write their bids and to hopefully get them funding for projects for veterans' mental health. Luckily, Veterans in Crisis were a recipient of this funding, and they went for the maximum funding, which was for 2 years for £70,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you put it all down on paper and you realise what this money goes towards, actually it barely scratches the surface, but it's the impact that money can do, which is the really important thing. And the Positive Pathways is there to help veterans' mental health by doing activity-based projects. So there was quite strict criteria for this fund. The projects had to be either based on sport, outdoors, arts, or culture. And they all had to be activity-based. So the veterans had to be doing something. They couldn't have something done to them. For example, they couldn't just come in every once a week and just get a massage. They had to actually be partaking in an activity. And it also had to have a good referral pathway into extra mental health support should the veterans who come along to these activities flag up that they do need a little bit more extra help. So myself and Gemma have been busy working on that. We're responsible for covering the northeast of England, the whole of Scotland and Northern Ireland. So I'm actually based in Scotland myself. Gemma is based in the northeast of England in Gateshead, in our Gateshead hub. And I've spent a lot of my time travelling across to Northern Ireland to meet these other organisations to talk about the Positive Pathways projects.
Yeah, well, it came as a real boost to us, to be honest. We do a lot, every one of them part of the criteria we do with veterans. So the culture part, we have art clubs, art therapy. The fitness, we do 3 circuit sessions a week. We do have a walking club, a running club. So all them things fitted in our criteria, which is brilliant. You know, it's such a good thing to have somebody like a big charity or a big organisation to come in and help the smaller ones. Especially, I know that you helped our fundraiser, John. You've helped him put the bid together properly, and you know it really helped. Like,
yeah, that was one of the main reasons for having the strategic partners. So we were there not just to let people know that there was funding available, but also to help with the complicated process, which is bid writing. I put myself in a bid writing workshop so that I had the knowledge to be able to help the people we were assisting. And it really is a craft. And I'm willing, if anybody's listening and they are wanting to look into write bids for future things, then please do get in touch, because it's very much, you've got to write it in the third person. You've got to be really clear about your facts. It's got to be obvious what you're after. And the good bids come across like that. I think sometimes people overcomplicate them, because at the end of the day, you want the person reading it to know exactly what you want to do and how you're going to achieve it and what impact that will make. And that's the big thing. So yes, I had lots of emails back and forth with John, who I've still not met. And hopefully once this coronavirus is all subsides, I will come down and visit the project and see how you got on. But you know, some people like John, it wasn't hard work having to help them with the application. Some other people, I've had to do a lot more work to get their application.
John's been really instrumental in in sort of coming on board and getting all the bid writing done for us. When I started Veterans in Crisis, obviously I started on my own, and I was very careful to pick a team to surround myself with people who actually knew what they were doing. Because in the nicest way, I was just basically starting this off and doing it as I went along, So I needed a team around us that had specific talents, and John was one that I picked straight away for his business sense and his bid writing, because he's been involved with setting social enterprise up for the last 30 years, and this is exactly what I needed. And the whole team that I've surrounded myself with all add something, because you can't do everything on your own. I mean, it's impossible. I tried it, and I when I first started, obviously on my own, £10 pay-as-you-go mobile phone, that was it, and not even any internet, Once it started growing and things started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I mean, I've been working 18-hour days most for the last 2 years. My job's just finished that I had at Northumbria Uni. So now I'm only working 12 hours a day, which sounds bad, but it's brilliant, I've sort of set myself 9 till 9. It doesn't mean I'm in the office all the time, but I'll answer phones and I'll answer emails and stuff till 9 o'clock at night. Then I can switch off from 9, where before I've been doing stuff 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not really good for yourself.
No, and I think you've put a really poignant point there, is the fact that your charity is your vision, your passion, but it is also a business, for want of a better term, and for it to succeed, which is what your beneficiaries need, the guys who are listening just now, for them to receive all the activities that you do, all the benefits that you feel passionate about. You need to have that organisation in place to continue that and have that sustainability. And that's hopefully where the likes of John and the likes of the partnership with Walking with the Wounded through this project will enable you to facilitate maybe thinking slightly differently of coming up with ways to sustain the good work that you're doing and evidencing that good work that you're doing, because we live very much in the time where we've got to prove our worth, and a lot of the stuff that you were doing probably when you started up was having huge impact on the veterans on the ground, but actually it was very difficult for you to quantify that. So, the fact that you've got this money with Positive Pathways, we've got our relationship as a strategic partner, and we're going to be getting some good data back from the Armed Forces Covenant, that all bodes well for Veterans in Crisis to continue to flourish.
Well, this is what we aim for. I mean, the study I've just did with Northumbria Uni, it was a 2-year study, and it was about the sort of my model of the peer research, peer model, so helping veterans helping veterans, and when that comes back, I mean, I've seen parts of the study and it's come across really well. The majority of people have stopped drugs and alcohol. 100% of people have reported a positive change in their lives since coming in contact with Vic. So that all looks really well, and we can use that in future bids as well.
Absolutely, yes. That's all, underlying the good work that you've done. And I think, again, you've mentioned a really good point there about the peer support. I'm a veteran myself as well, which allows you to have that certain amount of empathy with the people you're working for and working to provide a service for. And I think you have that natural rapport as well of working, with your peers. And from an ex-service point of view, I think a lot of people still very much want to serve and want to help other people. And, it's encapsulating that enthusiasm and giving that back to the guys who are in need, which is quite unique amongst the Armed Forces charities, I think.
It is. I mean, just the banter we were speaking earlier about, swearing and just the banter what you can have with people. That's what you miss. I mean, not everyone misses serving. I don't miss shouting, getting shouted at and running around with loads of kit on. I don't miss that, or polishing my boots. But I do miss the crack with my mates and just basically the good laughs. And that's, if you think back to your army career or whatever service you were in, I find that most people talk about that. Very few people talk about anything bad that happened to them. It's there.
Rose-tinted glasses, definitely.
If you want to talk about like the problems, what you think might have happened to you, that's causing mental health problems or something like that, there's people for that. But the majority of the time people will just want to have a laugh. And I think the banter between services and then regiments and anything like that, you know, it keeps people alive, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Black humour, coping with really difficult times and how you get through that. And it's a bonding experience as well. I'm still in contact with loads of people I went through my initial training with. And it's not because we all kind of were amazingly close friends to begin with. It's because we all had that shared experience of, you know, what at the time felt very adverse. Yeah. And, you know, you immediately have that link with them. So even if you don't see them for 10 years, you'll be like, oh, do you remember that day when, you know?
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say, because I was 50 in April, and in January, 7 of us who joined the army on the same day in 1986 all went on holiday together.
Oh, you know? Fantastic.
It was just great. It was great. It was just like being exactly the same crack. You know, it was brilliant. Brilliant. And we managed to do it just before the virus kicked in, so we got away. Because it was great. I mean, I can't drink any as like I used to be quite honest. So drinking, I find when you're with your comrades from the army or whatever force, you seem to think you can still drink exactly the same, not remembering the hangovers the next day.
Yeah. It's you revert back, don't you, to being mentally that age when you're all together. And sadly we've all aged slightly since then.
just so where did you serve?
I was in the Royal Signals, and I was mostly based in Germany, where I did a tour of Iraq. In 2003, I was with 7 Armour Brigade Signal Squadrons, so we went across initially on operation or exercise Lucky Warrior, which then turned into the Optelic. And then after that, I served in Lichfield. And then after that, actually, I left. I only did a short service commission, even though I was then married to the army for many years. So I felt like I've done a long time.
Did you like Germany?
Yeah, I loved Germany. I was a forces child as well. So I went to school in Germany when I was a kid.
All right.
I've got really fond memories of Germany. I loved the culture over there. Is just, in fact, I find it quite similar at the moment. This whole lockdown, having more leisure time, spending more time with your families, going out exercising, to being how it was when I lived in Germany back in the late 80s. It just really reminds me of that kind of way of life, and I think that's quite nice. I lived in Münster when I was a kid, Berlin, and then I served in Hona, which was the middle of nowhere. So
I've been there. I actually served in Berlin.
Oh, did you?
1989 to 91, when the wall came down.
Oh, right. Oh, that must have been a really interesting time to have been there.
It was. But to be honest, when the wall was up, it was really cheap on the east side, and if you were a squatty, and then when the wall came down, all that stopped. So it ruined it for the British squatty, to be quite honest. But no,
how dare they?
Exactly, just because they wanted freedom. It was it was a great experience, to be honest. And obviously, when it comes on the telly all the time, you think, I was there, you know. I think the worst part was David Hasselhoff turning up, I think, and singing. That was definitely the worst part of it, I think.
You're not a fan?
No, not if he's singing anyway. I used to like him in Knight Rider, but not he's singing. So we did. I did I think this is the right word. A webinar.
Yes.
With the Wounded on Friday.
That's right. Yes, Tommy did.
Yeah, so that was like about everyone getting together for a mental health sort of kind of hub type thing, and that went really well. And because of that, I can't remember how many people were in the actual meeting, but I've had quite a few emails from people wanting to get in touch and to learn about Vix and stuff like that, which is great because they were the people that I didn't know about before.
Yeah, it's really good, the network that they've set up in Gateshead. So we've got the 2 hubs at the moment. We've got one in Manchester and one in Gateshead. And the Gateshead one's still very much in development. Unfortunately, it's been put back again because of the virus nonsense, making everything just not happen. So they are trying to do a lot of remote networking, and we feel that we've got some really good pathways into the support network up in the Northeast. And that's not just armed forces, but that's also civilian charities and establishments as well. And hopefully one of our strengths, and the reason again that we were asked to be a strategic partner for the Positive Pathways, is because we've got that very strong collaborative approach to things. So if we don't necessarily know how to do something, or we think there's something that's somebody would be better suited doing a different program, then we can refer into them. And we very much do that with our Tackling Serious Stress, which is based out of the Gateshead Hub. And I'm sure you probably were briefed on this at the webinar you're talking about. So again, the Covenant gave out money to various locations throughout the UK, and we received the money for the north of England to set up something which we've called the Northern Care Coordination Partnership. So it's to deal with veterans who are under severe stress. So the guys who really are on their knees, who just don't know where to turn, and literally, you know, goodness only knows what will happen unless somebody intervenes. So through that, we've got a good network up there. And I think they've kind of tried to expand that, doing this mental health work that you were involved in. And we've all got mental health, you know, be it good one day, bad the next day. It's nothing to be proud or ashamed of. It's just a fact of life. And, you know, you could ask me in the morning how I'm doing, and I'll be like, oh, I'm fine. In the afternoon, something might have happened and I won't feel so great about everything. And that's natural. It's when things tend to go downhill and not get any better for people that we really need to start putting measures in place. And I think there's some really good tools around for veterans, actually, but it's getting them into the system. So hopefully by making those links that you made at the webinar, and have those people come through your doors, that's them starting on their journey back to recovery, which is only a benefit.
Well, it is the benefit of the whole of the Northeast, really, isn't it? So, yes. I mean, you can't have enough contacts, you know.
No.
And we're the same. When I started this, I wanted it to be, it was all about the client. So if I thought a different service could help the client more, I'm happy to bring them in. Because what I found when I worked for a charity before, it was all about keeping that client in that one place because of funding. And I didn't want that, because then it just becomes about money, and it comes about the charity, not the client. So my whole plan was to bring as many people in as possible. Anybody who can help, you know. So we have we had, before this all happened, a coffee morning every Tuesday at the Gunners Club. And every week we probably get around about 50 veterans in. We have free Greg's food, tea and coffee. But we also would have different services coming in, doing a talk, letting people think, oh, well, that would help me, you know. And other veterans talking to veterans would be saying, well, this worked for me and this tablet didn't work, and things like that. And for me personally, you know, that little bits of advice from other people, it works great. It works much better than one charity saying this is the way you've got to do it. It's got to be this way all the time.
Or giving somebody a leaflet and then they just put that in the bin. Actually, that human interaction, that's great. I mean, having 50 people turn up for a coffee morning in the first place is fantastic. So well done. But I think you're totally right. And I know of a lot of places, especially up here in Scotland, do that kind of like Friday morning coffee and bacon roll morning, and the guys come in literally just for the bacon roll. But if they happen to get good information whilst they're there, or make a contact, or just come in for a couple of weeks before they're brave enough to speak up and say, actually, I really need some help with my debt, or whatever the case is, it's all going in the right direction. Because generally we are quite proud people. We don't want to admit when things are hard, but also we need to remember that we all are part of the same team and people do have our back. So when you reach out for help, you know, there are people like yourselves, like us at Walking with the Wounded, who are there very much to stand up and lend a hand.
Well, we were lucky enough to get the Gunners Club, and I sort of came under a bit of criticism when I first wanted to do it, because obviously it sells alcohol, but in the room we go to, it doesn't. So, and what I wanted to say was, you can go into a pub and you can just drink tea and coffee and have some food. It doesn't mean you've got to drink alcohol. And it has worked. You know, like I say, I came under criticism from services or certain services for doing it, but I knew it would work, and it has. And the love every Tuesday, and this is probably, from a personal point of view, the worst part of the virus is them not having their Tuesdays because they look forward all week, you know,
Yeah.
and they make friends and then they do stuff other days together, whereas
Yes.
the Tuesday they're all together, and you'll find a new person will come in and sit right at that end, but after 2 weeks it's right down that end. Made more friends, and you've always got somebody who's in the same regiment, or you know, say the army on this side, the navy there, and the banter, and you know that's great. It's great.
Yeah. My last job, I'm army, but I served with an ex-Ren, so we had some good inter-unit or inter-service back as well. She didn't understand what I was talking about.
Well, that's funny because obviously the crack that you have, like I was army, so we would be able to remember the same things. But then when a Navy person says something, it's completely different.
Yeah,
it is, and I mean they have their own tables and the mix, and it's good. It's good for banter. It's good. It's good laugh.
I was going to say, going back to your point you made about not having your Tuesday mornings, not having that social interaction, that has been awful for people who are already socially isolated, and I think a lot of veterans who are struggling are in that category. And again, that's what the Positive Pathways program was all about. It was about getting veterans to join in with an activity they would be interested in, to get them back, you know, having fun again, and if need be referred into other services, but just having that interaction with their peers. And it's been really sad that that's had to take such a backseat for these projects that we're working on. And I'm just hoping that when the restrictions relax, people will have the confidence again to come out, to join back in with things. And obviously all organisations will be using the correct measures to keep people safe. But I'd just like to say to your veterans who are listening to please do get back involved for your own mental health and to support the people who have supported you as well. So,
well, we've been sort of having virtual coffee mornings. So on Messenger, and they've got WhatsApp groups and things. So the building we've got, obviously you've never been, we call it the ERV, which you don't realise.
Oh, I've seen it on your Facebook page, yes.
So downstairs is a drop-in where any amount of people can come every day, all day, get something to eat, wash their clothes. So that's the part that we're not sure if that's ever going to get back to normal, you know, because we can't have as many people. So this week we've started with one person can come in 2 meters apart, and then at least it can have a little bit of crack. But we're opening the back a bit further because we've got like a yard and then a bit of a parking space. So we're going to make that into one, and then have tables, and then they can sit outside because you're less likely to catch the virus if you're outside. So I think people are just going to have to adapt in ways of working. What we are lucky about is it's 4 floors, and every floor has its own amenities. So it has a toilet and a kitchen, so people can come in one door and not see another person and do everything. And then when they leave, that place gets cleaned down for the next person. So hopefully, and then we can use our proper podcast studio, because we just actually invested in lots and lots of equipment for it when this happened. So we haven't been able to use it. So if I thought I could have kept the money and just used Zoom.
I know, who'd heard of Zoom, you know, a couple of months ago? Nobody.
No, I hadn't heard about Zoom. Had you heard about it before this?
No, never. And suddenly my life revolves around Zoom meetings.
Meetings and like podcasts, and it's just weird. And now I'm at the stage where even when I could speak to someone on the phone, you seem to just do it on Zoom.
Yes. Beforehand, it would all be done by telephone, or you'd go and meet that person. Whereas now you're like, we'll just have a Zoom meeting. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm not a big fan of like being on screen, so this is very awkward. But at the same time, used to it. You just get used to it, and you love it, don't you?
Well, before this all happened, I was doing conference calls, and about 8 people speaking. You never knew who was speaking because you never met them before. Where this is, you put a name to a face. You know, and I think it's much better. Like, well, that's probably me just getting with the times, I think.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I had a day of meetings. So I had my first meeting in Gateshead. Then I was a meeting in London. Then I was over in Northern Ireland. Then I was back in Scotland, all in one day on Zoom.
Brilliant.
So, Brilliant. Couldn't have done that normally.
Well, your train never gets cancelled doing that, does it?
No,
you know.
And I have to say, I normally get to, when I go down to Gateshead to visit the hub, I normally get down to Gateshead, okay, I travel from Edinburgh. But without fail, my train back from Newcastle is always delayed.
God. I've been doing a lot of trips to Manchester and London with some work I was doing, and always delayed or cancelled.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to Manchester, can't remember what month it was, but I actually got on a train and I couldn't find my seat, and then it come on the thing that my train had been cancelled. This was a different train you had to get off.
Oh my God.
I know. And you know, that sort of thing hopefully is in the past now. You can do it like this.
Yes, yeah, I think there'll be a lot of things done remotely. Whether it's a good or a bad thing, I'm not sure. It definitely, from a service provider's point of view, we're able to offer a lot more to a lot more people because distance doesn't matter. But for that personal touch, for that actually human interaction, I think it's still very important. And that will be, you know, time will tell how we go about that. But ultimately, it saves an awful lot of time and money being able to do things like this.
I think as well, like on a more personal thing, I think sometimes you go to a meeting, it takes 3 hours, and you could have done it by email. Like it could have been a thing that took you a minute by in an email. You know what I mean? So if I can do this, that's much better for me.
Well, exactly. It's changing our attitudes, isn't it? Or forcing our hand, rather. And we'll just have to wait and see what's coming next, whether everything's going to continue to improve or whether we are going to have another spike again, which obviously is a reality. And we'll just have to wait and see. But I think the veterans kind of cohort we're pretty mindful of looking after ourselves and of abiding by the rules. I wouldn't say all the time, but most of the time for the greater good. We can see the bigger picture. And I know a lot of your listeners will probably have been on tour at various times. And I very much approached this lockdown almost like being on a tour. So you're kind of used to that lack of interaction with your loved ones. That's nothing new. The only thing is you normally have an end of tour date and you know that you're going to come back and you're going to see your loved ones again. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people are struggling with, is that we just don't know when that's going to happen. So that's a challenge. Yeah. I
think that's causing the most anxiety, people not knowing when like you say, you always have a date to aim to, and if you haven't got that, and it can't go on forever. I keep saying that, you know, it can't go on forever. You know, life has to go on. The other things have happened in history, and it just gets back to normal at some stage, whether it takes a year, 2 year, God don't, please not 5 year. However, it will get back to normal at some stage.
Yes, yeah, and I think that, you know, we've just got to remain hopeful, haven't we, that people will abide by the guidelines and things will return as quickly as possible, and then we can get on with these fantastic projects.
Yeah. Have you got anything else lined up for What with the Wounded that you can speak about?
Well, we're the strategic partner for quite a few other positive pathways. I'm trying to think, the one nearest to you is probably, we've got a sailing one down in Hull, organisation called Cat Zero. I'm not sure if you've ever come across them.
No, I haven't.
And the Finchel group as well have got positive pathways that they're running. They've managed, like yourselves, to do a lot of things remotely, that they're managing to have a lot of good outreach with their clients. And what we're planning on doing for the people who've got the grants at the moment is we're going to do a roadshow of training, and part of that training will be a networking opportunity. So you'll be able to see where all the other positive pathways projects are. So you can let your clients, not necessarily who are on the positive pathways themselves, but just in general, make them aware of where the other activities are. So you can, you know, let your veterans have the opportunity to access all these amazing activities which are going on. I'm just trying to think that there should be an app being developed at the moment by the Armed Forces Covenant Fund Trust, which they're hoping to have live in about a month's time. So that would be a really good resource for people to have and know about. And that'll be both from a service provider and from a veteran's point of view. So you could both go in there, put in where you are and see what projects are going on around you. There's also going to be another round of funding for Positive Pathways, so there will be more projects coming up after that as well. So there's lots of stuff in the pipeline. There's some really good projects going on. Most of them are local to where people are, but there are some national ones. Off the top of my head, I can think there is, some disability skiing, obviously take veterans from across the UK. I think there are some expeds, some diving expeds, etc., going on. So if you are interested in finding out more, at the moment, the best place I can point you towards is to go to the Armed Forces Covenant Fund Trust website, go to the Positive Pathways page, and on there is a list of all the projects which have been given funding, and you can just have a wee look and see what's going on. And there's loads of stuff out there. It's just letting people know about it is the challenge.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Is there anything else you want to get across before we finish?
I think that's about it. Just having a look at my cheat sheet here, my notes. Thing. Yeah, just making also your guys know that we do have the hub in the northeast up in Gateshead, which are dealing with employment issue, welfare issues, and the serious stress. So if there is anything there that they're interested in finding out about, best thing I can do is say have a look at our website and just ping an email and it will get acted on. So
if you send any links that you want over, Joe from Tile Image, who edits this for us, he'll put them along the bottom. So when they watch the podcast, all the links will come along the bottom.
Oh, fantastic! Okay, that'd be great. I will do. Yeah, I'll do that next.
No problem. Right. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Lovely speaking to you. Bye.